The online right-wing media space is definitely a weird place as of late.
I would do anything for love. I'd run right into hell and back.
No! All of this is there looks like there's some internal right-wing wing fighting unfolding right now. That is unfolding in some very interesting ways, as it seems like a lot of online political commentators just need something to, of course, rebel and fight back against, as it looks like the right is fighting the right, as, of course, the right wing overwhelmingly has a political mandate. They won the popular vote. They won the electoral vote. Donald Trump is in office. He has the Congress. He has the Senate. He has the Supreme Court. He has the independent media. And now there's some very interesting discussions happening right now between individuals like Mike Cernovich, James Lindsay, and, of course, Jordan Peterson. That was just on the Joe Rogan podcast, and as now there are some very interesting war of words about allegedly sociopathic right-wingers, according to Jordan Peterson, who, again, we're going to examine here from a little bit more of a critical point of view. Now, the term woke right kind of originated with James Lindsay. There seems to be a lot of criticism by James Lindsay against a lot of people on the right. Recently, he took the stance of kind of backing Douglas Murray a little bit. Douglas Murray is the kind of neoconservative that was on Joe Rogan to lecture him and wag him the finger about being in war zones and not elevating opinions that are not corporately approved by the establishment and the narrators of our civil society, as Mike Cernovich has been fighting back against a lot of these individuals, and he's been kind of the main spokesperson here, calling a lot of these individuals out after, of course, they make a lot of the bigger hits against the right here, as Mike Cernovich just posted this in response to Jordan Peterson that shared a picture saying 3 monsters today, thanks to Joe Rogan, episode out. Now, an episode is an interesting one. I didn't get the chance to listen to all of it, but Mike Cernovich responded to this by saying, quote, "You're a moral coward who fled his country to come finger wag at mine. You didn't even have the spine to fully endorse Trump. You're only a monster in the sense of the smothering mother passive-aggressive way you conduct yourself." Now, you're asking yourself, why did Mike Cernovich say that? Well, it's in response predominantly to this segment of the video here, where a lot of people are saying Jordan Peterson is just making the argument that if you criticize him, you're a sociopath. And there's some bigger implications to this and potential legalese here that we're going to be getting into in just a little bit. But here's a portion of the clip that I think is worth paying attention to.
I think that virtualization has enabled the psychopaths.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, well,
without a doubt.
That's a terrible thing, because the psychopathic types, they're always the death of everything. Like, I'm seeing this come up on the right now. So imagine this. I've been working on a new theory of political psychopathology, and I like it quite a lot.
Is this where the term the woke right comes in?
Yeah, well, Lindsay is pointing at that, but he hasn't got the diagnosis exactly right.
And now comes in Jordan Peterson to give the diagnosis on the right-wing psychopaths out there. Now, if you look at the definition of a psychopath, it's used to describe a person with a personality disorder characterized by lack of empathy, remorse, and a tendency towards antisocial and sometimes violent behavior. Now, is the right wing becoming more and more violent? There's not really a lot of evidence to prove that. I think there's an argument to make that a lot of children on hormones and hormone blockers, I think there's a tendency for that to be a little bit more, relevant as part of a conversation. But right-wingers, no. I mean, the left is literally celebrating Luigi Mangione, but the right-wingers are sociopathic here, as a lot of people are now pointing to Jordan Peterson saying, give him hell. Netanyahu, enough is enough. Who are they giving hell to? the Palestinian people. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And this is one of my critiques of Jordan Peterson. I also definitely disagreed with him when he was recommending a particular medical procedure for everyone during 2021. And I disagreed with some of his other assessments here. But a lot of people would say, if you lack remorse, and you're like violent behavior, saying something like "give him hell" during a battle, during conflict, that kind of represents that a little bit there, buddy. Let's just be real with ourselves here, as a lot of people, particularly now, are sharing this image here, making the argument that Jordan Peterson should listen to some of his own advice here, as he is also on the right here. But there's a interesting division amongst the right that I think is only going to get a lot more divisive from here. Before talking about the potential legalese implications of all of this and playing the remainder of this clip and playing Mike Cernovich's rebuttal to all of this, we wanted to remind people, sign up to lukeunfiltered.com. We're doing a range day. The range day is really fun. Some of our members went about last month. We're going to do it again May 4th in South Florida. If you have an opportunity to visit South Florida and travel, especially in the South Florida homestead area, take it. Come out to this range day. Signing up as a member, it's quick, it's easy, it's simple. And then we tell you, hey, this is the 10. We only have 10 spots available to sign up for this. It's a super fun, awesome class. And it's really next level type of stuff that we're going to be doing, teaching people self-defense on the range. And it's going to be just an amazing day. I really enjoyed the last time we went out, and I had just a lot of joy being able to learn, being able to teach. And it's something that I think is one of the great joys that I don't see anyone else doing, really, on this. I love teaching people how to defend themselves. I love being able to be a teacher when it comes to important things that are very difficult to try to achieve, that are trying to become really good at. So that's what we're going to be doing May 4th, this upcoming Sunday, about 2 weeks from now, a week from now. And sign-up tickets and seats are limited to 10 people, and we're going to be working with one of the best training groups out there. Now, let's go back to Jordan Peterson's comments here as you sign up here, and then check your spam to get your credentials to log in to lukeunfiltered.com and reserve your place here before they, of course, all sell out. Let's play the rest of Jordan Peterson's clip here.
So it isn't woke. That's not the issue. It's not exactly.
I think
He's one
what
level.
they're talking about is like similar types of behavior.
He is talking about that.
Woke is I think, just a representation of individuals who have lost their minds. I think that's an easy shortcut here to make.
No,
but
what
it's
he's
just,
point.
woke just lets you clarify in your head, oh, it's like that.
Yeah, but the problem is.
It's like Antifa.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is that argument is predicated on the claim that the ideas are the problem, like the woke ideas, for example, on the right or the left. But that's not the problem. The problem is that 4 to 5% of the population, something like that, is cluster B, that's the DSM-5 terms, histrionic, narcissistic, antisocial, psychopathic, or they have dark tetrad traits. They're Machiavellian, they're sadistic. That's about 4%. Okay, so the question is, how do these people maneuver? And the answer is they go to where the power is, and they adopt those ideas, and they put themselves even on the forefront of that.
Right.
But the ideas are completely irrelevant.
Right.
All they're doing is they're the Pharisees. They're the modern version of the Pharisees. They're the people who use God's name in vain, right? As they proclaim moral virtue.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether it's right or left or Christian or Jewish or Islam. They invade the idea space, and then they use those ideas as false weapons to advance their narcissistic advantage.
Now, what Jordan Peterson here is describing is absolutely correct in one sense here, but I think he's describing it for a particular reason that we're going to get into in a little bit that goes towards criticizing him and the organization that he's associated with that has now faced more kind of scrutiny than they ever have kind of before. But to label this as just sociopaths on the right, I think is just a lazy type of thinking that, again, has legalese implications that Mike Cernovich brings up in a little bit here. But he is right. Sociopaths do love power, and that's why there's more sociopaths per capita in and outside of Washington, D.C. than anywhere else in the United States. Why? Because that's where all the power is. That's where the seats is. And the sociopaths love it. Now, are there a whole bunch of new right-wing influencers that are sociopathic, that are just brand new on the spot when they saw the right wing have a lot of attention here? I guess maybe you can make some arguments here. But if you're going to be speaking about such vague terms, name some names. And I think this is why Jordan is facing some criticism today. Tell us who it is. Who do you think's the sociopath here? Who do you think is a part of the new, quote, woke right that is actually doing a big disservice here and taking advantage of the situation that just magically popped up and just came out new on the stage and is taking advantage of this new kind of right-wing populist swell that now also is going to be in the midst of a lot of internal fighting that's happening amongst it. Name some names here, because otherwise it kind of does look like he's just, not being the most kind of forefront person. And I think that's what a lot of people would expect from Jordan Peterson here, and he hadn't delivered. Here he kind of finishes his statement here.
Yes.
And so then you have the problem, and the right's going to face this more and more, particularly because the left had to face it when they were in powers.
Yes.
How do you identify the psychopathic parasites, 4% of the population, who are clothed in your clothing and
Right.
waving your flags,
Right.
but who are only in it for narcissistic benefit?
Now, that's a question that I think is worth asking here, because now we're going to have a purge of people that are just inconvenient for us, because that's what it seems like is being kind of alluded to here, being like, yeah, there's some people on the right I don't like here. Anyone who I don't like or disagrees with me is a sociopath. That's the kind of argument here that I think is laid bare here, that a lot of people are kind of seeing extrapolated through the comment section here. As Elijah Schaefer said, Peterson is coping with the fact that nobody young in the right buys the BS he or his network peddle every day. The surface level intellectual word salad means nothing. We are being replaced and prosecuted in our own homelands. We don't want his arrogance. We need solutions. Bruce Fenton said, Peterson is right. There are sociopaths taking over the right. They are the ones saying it's okay to murder children. He's, of course, mentioning right now what is happening inside of Gaza. Mike Cernovich, who has been a big outspoken critic of Peterson here, says, chilling, gut punch, LMFAO. Do you even lift? It looks like Jordan doesn't lift. Another person wrote, this is pretty interesting analysis. Can't vouch for its validity, but I think there is still value in referring to it as woke right, because it links it to the woke left and emphasizes their commonality. There's a set of beliefs, the enemy within identity politics, anti-West deep sense of grievances, etc., that the left and the left strains have in common, and it's good to have them linguistically connected, useful. So some people agree, some people disagree with here. And I think I kind of agree a little bit more with Alexander Marino's comments here, saying, much like Sam Harris, he's pulling the everyone I disagree with is a sociopath card. I think that's the best way to kind of extrapolate here, because, again, he's not naming names. And I think, even though the kind of definition of what he's describing with power does tend to happen here, I think it's fair to argue that the level of violence here definitely isn't on the right here, and I don't think it ever kind of will be here. That's just my own personal perspective here, as I think it's important to be able to bring up criticisms of everyone, but it looks like Jordan Peterson definitely is very protective of his stances when it comes to Middle Eastern policies that don't usually resonate with the new kind of younger generation out there and the new kind of free speech advocates out there, the individuals that are represented through ideological figures like Tucker Carlson, Ian Carroll, and other individuals that are becoming more and more outspoken about foreign government interference in our government here. And I think this is essentially what is at the pulse of this matter here, as Mike Cernovich points out from all of this, saying, quote, "This is what they did in the Soviet Union. A psychologist would declare a political descendant unwell and in need of being institutionalized." Yep. And I could attest to this. My family went through a lot of this as well under the Soviet Union occupation of Poland, where my uncle was in prison. My uncle was tortured by the state there for not having his documents, and they were just looking for any type of reason to kind of go after individuals, and then once they had them, they were just making stuff up in order to just keep them in jail and to torture them and to just keep hurting them. Now, Mike Cernovich brings up the kind of history of Jordan Peterson here, which again, in the past, I definitely disagreed with. I disagree with his Middle Eastern policies. I disagree with his stance on medical procedures. I disagree with his kind of acceptance of very, very highly powerful pharmaceutical drugs that he previously had a major issue with. And, we could all have our political differences here, but Mike Cernovich kind of really went after Jordan Peterson with these statements.
Accusing your political opponents of being mentally ill is a Soviet tactic right out of the playbook, but let's see how Jordan Peterson holds up under his own standards. In 2016 or 2017, he decided he wanted to build a brand, so he declared that he was going to be arrested if he used the wrong pronouns. That's objectively a lie. He was never under any risk of arrest. Look it up. It's a lie. A number of people, including Stefan Molyneux, Sargon of Akkad, build him up. I did the same thing. He becomes big, and then he signs with a Hollywood agency, creative arts agency. Apparently, it's moral to work with the same talent firm that was helping Harvey Weinstein in the casting couch. Okay, great, very, very moral guy. He had suggested that Justice Kavanaugh should resign from the Supreme Court because that would be a moral victory, and it would show the left that you won somehow when you're falsely accused of heinous crimes. You should win confirmation and then resign for the moral victory. He became addicted to pills, but no, he didn't become addicted to pills. He was iatrogenic. It was caused by his doctors because Jordan didn't know that benzos were habit-forming and addicting, although every psychologist knows that. I know that. So that's strange. But he couldn't be a regular addict, even though addiction can get any of us. No, he's special. His was something else.
And he's just kind of going in on Jordan Peterson and doesn't hold anything back here. And again, I think there is legitimate room to criticize, especially someone right now that's kind of coming out and saying, we got to purge the sociopath, right? What? How are we going to purge that? How is that going to kind of work out here? As of course, there are kind of logical reasons, I think, to fear a lot of this. But if you're going to be making this argument, I once again would have to reiterate, let's name some names here. Let's have that actual tough conversation here. And I would just say I think this is more of a phenomenon of a lot of people always kind of being used to being the resistance. And right now with the right in power, there's no one really to kind of fight against. So I think a lot of people are like, I'm just going to fight ourselves. Let's see what happens here. And some people would say that these conversations are destructive. Some people would say that they're constructive. But overall, they're definitely not boring. They're definitely very drama-filled and very personal, to say the least here. As I'm going to finish off with some of the Cernovich comments here, which I thought were very salacious.
Peterson, but he's not a narcissist. Everybody else is mentally ill, not him, of course. He weeps, he cries, he can't control his emotions at all. He took the COVID vaccine and encouraged others to do so. He told the truckers to go home. And lately he has partnered with the ADL front group to try to censor people who are claiming that Christ is king. And of course, the same front group he works with, we looked into it and found it, had tried to censor COVID-19 vaccine critics. So who is mentally ill? Is it puffy Jordan Peterson with his custom suits and lining his pockets? Or is it everyone else? Everybody but Jordan's mentally ill, right? I guess.
But how do you really feel, Mike? So, of course, again, Jordan posted this not so long ago, kind of breaking down his assessment here and his analysis here, talking about the 10 markers of the political sociopathology. And I think, again, I could see a lot of the sides. I could see a lot of the arguments that are being made here. Personally, I think there's something that goes to, attacking someone's character. And I think that rebuttals are being met here, since, let's just be honest with ourselves, Jordan Peterson definitely isn't the perfect person to be kind of making this argument, especially with some of his posts that do not show the most amount of kind of empathy here. That's my perspective. Whose side are you on? Who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong here? Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you think Peterson is right? If you think Peterson is right, press 1 in the comment section. If you think Mike Cernovich is right, press 2 in the comment section. I have my own bias. You know what I think. I know a lot of these people personally, and it's definitely an argument, and it's definitely a conversation, especially with what happened with Douglas Murray, especially with what's been building up with Lindsey Graham. Now Jordan Peterson kind of joining the ranks here, saying, no, we can't just platform everyone. That's, I think, the base of this argument. And other people are saying, well, hold on, wait a minute. Who are you? Wait, you're saying that? Wait, hold on a minute. You know where I'm perfectly biased on when it comes to this particular take here. But let's start the conversation down in the comment section below. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up to lookunfiltered.com. Do something hard and difficult in your life. Come out May 4th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.